page 3 to page 4. And you'll see at the top, you'll see the left-hand fingering. So left hand is the one that I'm going to be making the chords with on the side of the guitar, on the neck of the guitar. I will use my thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, and fourth finger. So that's how I'm going to refer to the left hand. And you'll see them, like on the example below with the reading a chord chart, how I play a C chord, and I have my first finger on the second string in the first fret, so I'll use this finger, first finger here, second string in the first fret, second finger on the fourth string in the second fret. So that's where my second finger would go. So that's how that works. Now, you can see right above that, reading a chord chart. You have vertical lines on the page, those are the strings. And then you have the horizontal lines and fret bars, those are the frets. Now, how do you do that consistently? It probably is going to look kind of weird. Okay, how do you convert that to your guitar? Your nut is the white part here. It's a thicker line on the chord chart. So you can see the thicker line, and if you have to hold your page up to the guitar to understand that for the first time, you can do that. And you can see how if I hold the chord up like this, next to the guitar, there's a nut here and there's a nut there. If you have the page up like this and you see the nut on this side, there's no strings that you can play on the other side of that. So that should tell you need to flip it upside down, and then you can see it exactly the way you're supposed to play it if you're having trouble with that. So then I can see where the second string goes and the fourth string goes and where my frets are. So I'm going to mimic that exactly. And you can see a picture next to that to show you how your fingers are going to look. A picture of me actually playing the C. Okay, so that's how it'll look on the chords. So you can see there's a circle, there's X's and there's circles. The X means closed and you don't play it. So closed is just an open string. It's a string that's not being pushed down with your fingers, and you will not play that on the chord. Then you have the open string, which you do play. So that's one that your fingers are not touching with the left hand. Your left hand fingers are not touching, and you will strum that open. So you don't want to have a finger touching that string if it's open, and I'll explain to you more about how that works. But with the C chord, if I was going to do that, I would play my first finger on the second string, first fret, second finger on the fourth string, second fret, and I would have the third string and the first string open. The fourth, the fifth, and the sixth string are closed. So when they're closed, I don't play the fifth and the sixth string. So you'll see me strum. I'm going to strum just the bottom four strings. And if I play that fifth string, you heard me play it once there, it doesn't sound exactly the same. It sounds like an A chord-ish. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure I only play the bottom four strings. And you can see when I'm strumming over the sound hole. I'm not strumming back here. I'm not strumming up on the neck of the guitar. I'm strumming over the sound hole. So it's important that when you strum, if you have the thumbs up pattern that I told you earlier, your thumb should be up in front of the sound hole. And now when you're picking, you should be picking right in the middle of the sound hole. And that's going to give you the best sound. If you pick back here or strum back here, it's going to be kind of nasally. So you hear how it's nasally, and up here, it's more fat than it is nasally. So we want to go over the sound hole to give it that perfect measure of nasal and fat. So right in the middle, okay? So there's your C chord. Then we're going to go to the next page. We'll actually come back to that C chord and learn it once we get to page 6. But let's go to page 5 and talk about left-hand positioning. You can see a picture of a bad and a picture of a good hand signal. And so obviously you've got bad, meaning thumbs down, and you've got good, meaning thumbs up. So on the book, you'll see that I've got an E chord that I'm playing. And you don't have to know that yet. But basically what we're doing with this left-hand positioning is I want my thumb to be behind the guitar. So we have a left-hand positioning, and we have what's considered bad on the top. You can see on the left picture, my hands are kind of pressed down like this. We want to actually have our hands up where they're perpendicular to the strings. You'll have these knuckles on the ends of your fingers that you want them perpendicular like that. If they're down like this, it's gonna be real hard to play any chord and get some sort of music out of it. Because if I'm playing like that, it sounds like this, more like that. So we want to get our fingers up and making sure they're pressing down just on the strings that we want them to press down on. and those need to be perpendicular to the strings. Now the other thing is your thumb. It's going to have a tendency to come over the top like this because we're learning, and it's going to be hard to push down at first. So we're going to want to push with the palm of our hand, and that's what we shouldn't be focusing on doing. We need to push with the thumb. Now you might be asking, well, I watch my cousin play all the time, or I watch videos of some of these great guitar players, and they have their thumb way over the guitar. Now that is true, but the thing about those players is they've been playing for a while, and they already know how to push down on the back of the guitar with their thumb. And they're actually still using the same concept. They're just pushing down with the front of their fingers, and they can do whatever they want now because they know the correct routine. If they're going to play a solo on the bottom, they're going to have correct hand positioning because they're going to keep their thumb behind on the back of the guitar. They're not going to play up here unless they're comfortable doing both. And so when you're starting to learn, if you watch my hand, see when I play a chord this way as opposed to when I play it that way, and how much my hand opens up toward the chord. That's what we want to get to for this first couple classes. And then in the future, if you're playing like Sinatra, if you're playing like Satriani or somebody that is just doing really well, then you can change a little bit and do whatever you need to do. But for the purposes of this class, I will be reminding you of that a lot, and you'll probably get tired of me saying that, but that's just the way it works for now, because I want you to remember that and focus on that aspect of where your thumb is going to be on the back of the guitar, your fingers are perpendicular to the strings, and when that happens, your wrist is broken. So we have the thumb on the back of the guitar, the wrist broken, and the fingers are perpendicular to the strings. When the wrist is broken, there's a little mouse hole here. So I have space in between my hand and the guitar, and that's going to give me room when I play chords that are at the bottom of the guitar, and I don't want my fingers to be constricted like this. So we want our thumb on the back, our wrist broken, and our mouse hole, so we have perpendicular fingers also. Now when we're pushing on the guitar, you'll see that I have a callus. I have calluses right here on the end of my fingers. I don't push with the flat part of my finger back here, I push with the tips of my finger. So on the tip of my finger, right below my fingernail, if you have long fingernails on the left hand, you're probably going to need to cut them because that's going to be in the way. So when you're pushing down, you're going to want to touch on the tip of your fingers, not on the flat part of your fingers, because that's going to mess up the perpendicular to the strings, like your fingers need to be coming out again. So really push down close to the end next to your fingernail, okay? And that's basically it. So again, I'm going to remind you again, thumb on the back of the guitar, wrist broken, and the fingers perpendicular to the strings. And when you're doing that, you're learning the correct method to improvement. Okay? So we're on page 6 now.